Hello, welcome to another video in this series on building a language learning practice. The practice exists to make a change, and in order to make a change you need some resources, and three resources I mentioned are money, motivation and time. But in one way, time is not actually a resource. It's not something actually you can spend like money might be, okay? Time is actually a reaction. I'm going to explain what I mean by that, because we often have time, but we don't use it, or we can't use it the way we would like. And I want to explain a little bit what might be happening, especially in terms of language learning. Okay. So when I meet students the first time, they imagine all this time that they can dedicate to learning English. Okay, great. And we sit down and we organize a study plan, and we look within that plan, possibly, if they're looking to make a significant change, we definitely look to build a practice, a language learning practice together. We are looking to convert some of this time they have available and energy and motivation into a practice. And these practices, the actions of the practice, will then basically bring the change. Just imagine you going to the gym and having a practice of going 2-3 days a week, maybe, and then eating certain type of diet and doing extra things outside of gym. These are part of the practice, and you do that every week, the change will come. Okay. But these well-meaning students, after 1 or 2 weeks, this study plan starts to slip, shall we say, okay? And they come and say, oh, this week I didn't do it. Now, what's possibly happening here? So one option is, yes, the student doesn't have that time. So they were imagining time, but they don't really have it. The other option, though, is that the student has lost their motivation. Because when you lose motivation, then you don't have that practice, because you no longer do the activities. And in a way, this is what I mean by time as not actually a resource. Time is a reaction to your motivation. And if your motivation has become like only a whim or occasional, or when you feel like doing it, it's not a resource, and it's not a practice. There will be no change without it. It can be good for you to carry on doing more English, but don't consider it a practice. If your goal is to make a change, that change won't necessarily happen. You can stay fit if you like, great, but you're not going to get the change you might want. Okay. By not having the right motivation, the potential of the resource of time has been lost forever. So motivation is the key here. You're not studying necessarily because you don't have the time or the money. It's because your motivation has disappeared so quickly. But hold on a minute. That student came to me. They were motivated. They were willing to pay good money. So where has this motivation gone? Nothing in their life has changed. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe, yeah. And this is why a good teacher will not only focus on the long, kind of vague goals that the student might have, but will look to bring value into the short term. Bring value into almost every lesson. And a good teacher should agree with the student, a good 4 to 6 week plan. Some short-term goals that will help keep the motivation going, not some long-term idea that will seem never ending. And the time that you can use for studying now, think about this, the time that you can have now for studying doesn't come from the spaces in your calendar. The time that you can dedicate will come from your motivation. Not from a well-intended plan. It's your motivation that will make sure you have the time. Okay. Thanks very much. See you in another video on building a practice or something else.